Hello, loves. This is Ashley of Aligned Living Co. and founder of the Becoming Her method and coaching program. I've been thinking a lot lately about, well, more reminiscing on how I was as a child, and I was kind of really big into the woo-woo as a child. And as you know, being weird when you're a kid is frowned upon, but being weird as an adult isn't necessarily, unless you're kind of the wrong kind of weird. Um, but if you're just kind of quirky and you have your own kind of way of living, is generally not frowned upon. So I have, over the past, gosh, almost 20 years, been finding my way back to myself. And the one thing that I have been diving into since the spring is tarot. Um, Tarot and I have a very interesting relationship. My family is generally psychic, and I've known this about myself, I've known this about my family, and a lot of the stories I've heard have been more negative than positive. And when you hear negativity a lot, it tends to push you away from repeating similar patterns. A lot of the stories I heard relating to tarot and fortune telling were negative, and so I generally would keep a lot of heavier things to myself. If it was quirky or fun or no harm was going to come of anyone, I might share some of the things that were happening. But generally, I would keep it to myself or my small circle of supporters. And then I did a tarot like 101 course at my local store, and I fell in love. I had been doing and working with oracle cards for quite a while, and I really enjoy using oracle cards. If you followed along a little bit or you're part of my newsletter, you know that I do weekly newsletter with an oracle card pull, which then I create journal prompts and other things to support your journey of self-discovery, living in alignment. And I was looking for something. Oracle cards are a little interesting. You can read them multiple cards, you can pull more than one card, but it's hard to really kind of layer them, or it's just a little more challenging in that sense. And what I learned from the tarot cards is because each card in any deck you get, they always mean the same thing. So no matter what deck you're working with, you'll always know, what the Nine of Swords means, right? And so you could work with any deck. And each deck might have, by the symbolism on the deck, might give you a little more um, power to read the card intuitively, or it might align more with the clientele you're working, what have you. I am really excited to be working with tarot in order to work with my coaching clients who consent. If you're working with me as a coaching client and you don't want tarot done, that's totally fine. You don't have to. I won't ever use it as part of your programming if you do not consent. But for those that do, it's such a powerful tool. Similar to the oracle cards, you could pull an oracle card and it makes you think of something you maybe hadn't even realized was on your heart. With the tarot cards, we can dive a little bit deeper. We can ask it a set of questions and then even dive deeper from what we're getting from each of those cards. So I'm really excited to dive into tarot. And because I wanted to focus a little bit more on the nostalgia kind of piece of, our childhood, I just wanted to do a little reading for you today. So this is for anyone watching. I generally will call you my collective, the Becoming Her Collective, but if you're watching, then take it or leave it. It's up to you. And I just wanted to I will be posting more videos more frequently. The goal is to get something out every day. And for the days that I have, sometimes I have something on my heart that I want to share, but um perhaps I don't know how to get it out. So I do consider these downloads or maybe messages from the universe, messages from spirit, and sometimes I don't exactly know what spirit is trying to have me portray to you. Using the cards helps spirit communicate to me so I can communicate that message to you through symbolisms I see and then kind of what sparks from the card. So if we're thinking about our childhood, what's something from our childhood that we should carry forward this week? So we have the Three of Pentacles, which is generally teamwork. So it could be maybe meeting up with a friend, starting a project with a friend, uh, working on something with someone. So you might look back to your childhood and think on a project that you did, or I think like a lemonade stand comes to mind, that kind of fun. It wasn't really meant for anything other than spending time together and being creative. So maybe just thinking up something creative, maybe sitting down with a, yummy mocktail or something and reminiscing. If you had some kind of business together, maybe you were making friendship bracelets and trading them or selling them to your friends. We also have the Ace of Cups, which is like the start of the new feeling about something. So this might just help you spark something in your own life. So thinking back to the past of things you've done with your friends, and maybe that conversation then helps you in the areas of your life, whether it's to pick up a new hobby. It doesn't have to necessarily be something where you're going to be making money. I'm not talking about a side hustle here. It could be, but honestly, just bringing a spark back into your life. So maybe you start making your own friendship bracelets again while you're watching like your murder mystery on TV or watching whatever it is that you love watching or listening. I've gotten into listening to audiobooks. So maybe you're sitting listening to your audiobook and creating friendship bracelets or bead bracelets just because it's something that brings back a memory that makes you happy. We have the chariot, which is this idea of moving forward in balance. So it's slow and steady. So I have ADHD, and so sometimes when I think of a new hobby, I go out and buy like everything to do with that hobby. And this could just be a reminder if you're going to pick up a new hobby, maybe you just pick up like a starter kit. So if you want to sit down and make a French slip bracelet, maybe you just pick like four colors, um, and maybe a couple charms for it, and then sitting down and seeing how that goes, and then diving a little bit deeper. So, this idea of adding a hobby into your life from your past that will bring you joy, but it doesn't have to become a part of your personality. It doesn't have to be something where your now whole house is full of thread and charms and half finished bracelets if you're like me. Maybe you're someone who does finish your projects. But it could just be something. I got really big into diamond art, so I have some kits just in my side table. And so sometimes in the evening, if I'm not quite ready to go to bed, I'll throw a TV show on my phone and do a few rows or a couple colors of my diamond art and then put it back in the drawer. So choosing something that brings you joy, and I mean it could be something from your childhood. It could be something if you're talking to maybe your parent or a friend or a sibling about things you did as a child, and just that same feeling of joy, that same, there was no, not many people started a lemonade stand thinking I'm going to be a millionaire at the end of it, right? You might not even expect to make any money, but the idea was the teamwork of getting together, deciding and planning out what this stand was going to look like, painting like the lemonade sign, what you were going to use as your stall, how to make the lemonade, that kind of thing. Just reminiscing on these pieces of ourselves that somehow got lost along the way. And I also wanted something that's been on my heart today is this. I think one of the most important things we can do as humans on this planet in this timeline is the hardest work that you give out should be to yourself. The most work you should do at all is for yourself, on yourself, growth, personal development, working through things that feel hard. Um, because I think as a millennial, we know we might have seen our parents follow the path, follow everything they were supposed to do, and they got a pension out of it. And so, I mean, even with my dad, he worked really, 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 really hard. He worked through a lot of things. He did a lot of things he didn't really want to do at his job, but it worked out for him because at the end of it, he ended up taking a package and leaving and started his own business, which is incredible in itself. But I look back to everything he gave, and it was really challenging at the time, and he went through a lot, but it worked out. He got the pension, he got all the benefits of that. But I think we see as the children of the last generation that had that, where a job would actually give back to you in some way, we're seeing that there's actually more success in staying in a job for a few years and then changing jobs rather than staying. And you might be lucky enough that you stayed at a job for a long time and you do feel like there's some benefit to it. But at the end of the day and at the end of our lives, we are the one that's with us the most. So if you're giving so much of yourself to someone else, to a job, outside anything outside of you, I mean, if that brings you joy, then that is totally fine. But I think it's just important to remember that the majority of the work and the majority of your effort should be coming back to you, because then you are the best version of you. You can show up as the best version of yourself as an employee. You can show up as the best version of yourself as a parent, as a sibling, as a child to your parents, right? As a friend. And it might be controversial to say that, but I think bringing back this idea of selfishness, but not the traditional version of, I will only do this for me and I'm choosing this because it's only good for me. It's a different version of, I'm choosing me right now so I can show up as the best version of me. So, whether that's listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks, reading self help books, or self development books, educating yourself more. And I don't mean necessarily like signing up for like to become a psychologist or something, but take a course, find something you're interested in. So there's great things like Udemy and other things online where you can pay like $10 to learn a new skill or dive deeper into something in it, whether it's something to do with your work, something to do with a passion, parenting course, self-development course, whatever it might be. But pouring more into ourselves so our cup becomes so full, we have nothing else except to give it out, right? Because once we start draining our cup, and as someone who's coming out of like a 7-year grief cycle, I'm finally starting to feel like me again, has primarily been from pouring into myself. So that I have not, like, whatever is left, like, whatever is flowing out, give it to everyone else because I'm not using it anymore. But as soon as you start to see that cup begin to drain and you're getting to the bottom, it's going to go quicker, right? It's going to leave quick because you're not able to fill, you just have nothing left. You have no energy to give to anyone else or to yourself. And that's, to me, I spent a lot of years like just like circling, right? Because there was not like whatever got poured into my cup immediately went out. I had a young child, in a relationship, like in a marriage. um I had work, like friends, family, and it was like I couldn't get enough in my cup. And I spent, especially the last, it's August, like 8 months, really focusing on myself and really focusing on the things that bring me joy and fill my cup. So I have nothing, like, I might as well give it out because I have more than enough, right? And as a mom, there's some days where, I mean, it feels like I barely have enough to like give out, but I'm full. So if I take a little bit from that cup and I'm a little bit depleted, it's easy to refill because the next day I can do something that really fills my cup. And I say that my son's older now, so he's still very much like the majority of my day of making food, and we're going out doing activities, and we're planning stuff and making sure he's good, and all the things that have to be with a parent. But at the same time, there's things he can now do for himself. He can play a little bit more on his own. um, he can kind of help with certain things. And so a lot of that has come with his getting older. But at the same time, a lot of it I have to contribute to taking care of myself. So if anything for today's cards, and just thinking back to your childhood and the things that brought you joy. And I mean, this one is teamwork. Um, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, a lot of our childhood we were spent, whether it was with our parents, our siblings, friends, school. So, what were the things you were doing with other kids that brought you joy? Was it playing on the playground? That was not for me. Mine was like I'd hang out with my friends on the weekends, we'd watch movies, we'd go to the store, choose what we wanted to watch, hang out and chat. One of my friends, we were always like trying to start a business of some kinds. It was like thinking up names. So think of how you enjoyed spending your time with others. And, if it was your parents, I love spending time with my parents. So what were you doing with them? What were the things that brought you joy? With my mom, we would like go grocery shopping, and my dad would go swimming. And it was, in those moments, it wasn't, we went on trips and stuff too. Like I was very fortunate that way, but it was always like the little moments. Like what would we talk about? I remember listening to like oldies in the car with my mom when we drive places, and what were the things you were doing with other people that brought you joy. And then just with the Ace of Cups, just starting something, and it doesn't have to be a huge commitment, but this idea of starting a small project again, you might do something crafty, or maybe even just starting a new book, or trying something new, maybe signing up for a course where you're learning about something you really enjoy. And then the chariot is just slow and steady and balanced, and you're determined to get where you want to go, and that place you want to go is feeling good within yourself, filling your own cup. That's the goal. So think slow and steady, filling your cup. And it might, I mean, for me, it took a good 8 months, but I was also coming off of like 7 years of not feeling like myself, like feeling everything was draining out of me, right? It's like kind of, it starts with like a slow, well, it started with a flow, and then it was a slow drip, and then it's, that last bit just kind of feels like this, even though there was sun and everything was good, it felt like that was still pulling out of me because I wasn't putting anything into me, right? So think of the things that bring you joy. Think of the things that you love, and just try stuff. And this is what I mean, slow and steady. I mean, if you want to try audiobooks, there's an app I use, it's called Libby, Libby, and you can find, if you have a library card, you can find your local library. You can take out books if you just want to read them on your phone. I say books, really weird, books, or audiobooks. And I'm doing audiobooks because when I work, have to have something on, and I was kind of tired of just listening to the same shows on repeat. And with the books, it's especially fiction, if you miss like a little bit, it's not a big deal. Where you can, like, if you're like, oh, that sounded like I missed something, you can rewind back a little bit. And with my ADHD, I listen on like 1.5 times the speed, the normal speed. So I'm already on my second book since the weekend. Uh, and those are great because you can kind of take out as many as you want at once. There's no financial, strain to it. If you want to get into making stuff, I highly suggest like grabbing just a small kit or starting somewhere small. And then if you really enjoy it, then keep going. Like go to the dollar store. That's a great place to start if you want to start a new craft. If you want to do an online course, start with like something that's maybe like a short hour thing or something you can do at your own pace. So there's a lot that you can try without like the financial commitment being huge, right? Because with the chariot, it's just this slow, steady refilling of your cup. And so everything you do, you want it to be intentional. You want it to be something that feels good rather than just another thing you have to check off on your to-do list. Awesome. It was so good. I'm really excited to be hanging out with you a little bit more often. If there's topics you want to cover, make sure you let me know in the comments. If you liked this, please like it, send it to a friend if you think this is something that would resonate with them. And of course, subscribe if you want to get the notifications when I have a new video out. This will be a mixture of these kind of videos as well as how I plan out my days, how I stay productive. So a little bit more behind the scenes. I just want to spend more time with you. I really miss just being myself. I love Instagram, but having to cut my videos down so short or edit them out, especially if my son walks in or someone interrupts me, it's just a little bit more complicated. So this way I can be a little bit more myself. We can chat a little bit longer, and I just feel like maybe you can get to know me a little bit. If you'd like to book your own reading, I'll put the link in here as well, and as well as links to signing up for my free Becoming Her series, or the Becoming series, which is my weekly newsletter, and my other stuff as well. Check it out if you want to. If not, we'll see you again next time. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. See you later.